Good morning, precious one. We thank God for bringing us to the last day of the month of June. We thank God for His grace. A lot of people didn't see today, but we are counted among the living just by the grace of God. We are trusting God to take us through the next half of the year of 2025, and all glory will be given to His name. Today, we want to come back to where we left off the last time regarding our topic stress. All right, so today we are going to deal with the effects of stress on the body or on the human body. So we are going to briefly talk about some of the effects so that whenever you are undergoing chronic stress, you will seek intervention as soon as possible in order not to find yourself in any of these complications. So last week we said that we have some mechanisms that I mean are induced, okay, mechanisms that are induced when the body undergoes stress. So we talked about the one that happens when the body undergoes acute stress and the one that takes place when the body undergoes chronic stress. And we got to know that with the mechanisms, we have two mechanisms. We have the sympathetic adrenal medulla system and also the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal system. All right. And we said that the sympathetic adrenal, medulla system is the one that takes place when somebody is undergoing acute stress. All right. So it's more like a fight or flight something. So when somebody encounters danger, the body uses that channel to modulate the activities that will help the person either to flee or to stand and fight. Okay, so this one is solely for acute stress, but we got to know that when the acute stress persists for a very long time, the adrenaline that was secreted by this system, that is the sympathetic adrenal medulla system, will diminish. The quantity of the adrenaline will diminish in the blood. Hence, the body goes for the the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal system, that is the HPA axis, and it will also take over and continue from there. So this explanation will let you know that then that means that when it comes to stress, chronic stress, that is stress that lasts for a very long time, then it is the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamus, you know pituitary adrenal system, all right, is the one that is the main thing there. So it is the one that modulates chronic stress, okay, so that the body will be able to accommodate the stress and deal with the stress. So the acute the sympathetic adrenal medulla system is for a short time. Then the HPA, which is the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal system, takes over. Okay, so that the body will undergo all the activities it needs to undergo so that the stress will be abated. Okay, but let's come back to our topic today, where we are going to talk about effects on stress. The last time we got to know that when the sympathetic adrenal medulla system, okay, is stimulated during an acute stress, it causes the body to experience some changes. Okay, so there is we spoke about the fact that there can be vasoconstriction or vasodilation. We spoke about the fact that there can be bronchoconstriction, all right? That is the constriction of the airway where we breathe into our lungs. So there can be a constriction there. Vasoconstriction means that blood vessels will be narrowed. Vasodilation means that blood vessels will be widened, okay? And also the adrenaline will have effect on the heart by causing the heart to beat faster, okay? And also increasing metabolism to release ATP, which is the main energy the body needs. Okay, so the energy currency of the body is ATP. So ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. So adenosine triphosphate will be released for the muscles. Okay, so that the muscles will be able to perform the activities it has to perform. So if the muscle is supposed to run away, if the muscle's activities are supposed to if the activity that the muscle is supposed to perform is to run away, then the ATP will help the muscles to do that and run away. But if it's supposed to stand and fight, then the ATP will do that as well. So in other words, metabolism in the body, like glycolysis and all that, will increase. So this is one aspect of what the SAM, which is the sympathetic acute, sympathetic adrenomedullary system does to help the body to deal with stress. So you know that, basically what I talked about, it means that there will be cardiovascular involvement, there will be respiratory involvement, there will be musculoskeletal involvement, even there will be gastrointestinal involvement as well. All right. So all these will take place so that the body can deal with the stress. So if the heart is beating faster, that means it's supposed to be for a short time, because under normal circumstance, the heart should beat within some range of rate. Okay. So we call it the pulse, okay, or the heart rate. So the heart is supposed to beat, per minute. So we count it per minute. So we call it beat per minute. And in the beat per minute, the heart is supposed to beat for some particular number of times. All right. So if the heart exceeds that beat for a very long time, that means that we are putting pressure on the heart. So imagine an acute stress increases the rate of the heart, and instead of the heart to beat on a normal second, let's say 60 to 100 beats per minute, the heart is beating 120 beats per minute. Okay, so within that 120 beat per, 120, the 1 minute, the heart is beating 120 times. That means pressure is on the heart to work more. And if it becomes consistent, imagine what will happen to the heart. And the heart muscles will be tired with over time, and a lot of complications can take place. One of the things too that happen is the respiratory pathway, as I spoke about. The respiratory pathway, or the respiratory system, the stress induce vasoconstriction. So those hormones released as adrenaline can induce the airway to be narrowed, and bronchoconstriction can, exacerbate cases like asthma. So those who are asthmatic, when there is bronchoconstriction, ideally, when there is bronchoconstriction, it means that the airway is narrowed, and the air that is entering there is not enough for the body. So the oxygen you are breathing in becomes very small. And if that happens, it can exacerbate asthmatic conditions. So it can induce asthmatic attack. So there is even a study, an article that says that people who usually go through stress and they are asthmatic usually have their asthmatic conditions exacerbated. Okay, so they can have acute exacerbation of asthma, where they will have to rush them to hospital and deal with them by giving them some oxygen and some salbutamol and all that, so that they will deal with some steroids, so that to deal with their asthma for them to be better. Okay, another one we talked about is the gastrointestinal system. So the adrenaline that is released can also cause vasoconstriction. As I said earlier, that means that blood vessels will be narrowed in the gut system. So when I say gut, basically the stomach, the intestines, and all that. So that when the blood vessels are narrowed, it means that blood quantity to that channel or to that system is impaired. All right, the quantity will not be enough, because other parts of the body need more blood to perform the action of running away or standing to fight with the sympathetic adrenal medulla system. Okay, when there is an acute stress. So by so doing, the blood content or the blood quantity to the gastrointestinal system will be reduced. And when that happens, it means that it can affect metabolism, or let me say, yes, absorption and all that. So the nutrient that is needed to be absorbed will be, the absorption will be impaired. And if the absorption is impaired, imagine what can happen. This hormone can also lead to slowness in the gastrointestinal system. So, we have something called peristalsis. So the food that you swallow has to move through the GI system smoothly for digestion, for absorption, and for excretion. So you realize that when these hormones are excreted, the GI system becomes, the action there becomes very slow. And by so doing, the food that you eat can stay at a particular place for a very long time. And before it even moves, you know that the gut to the GI system has normal microbiota. So we have some bacteria that are normal to be in the body, but they are opportunistic. Okay, so usually when they get cold environments, okay, they can proliferate in number, and as a result can cause infections. And this also can lead to constipation because the food is staying at a particular place for a very long time before it moves. It can also lead to diarrhea and all that through the infections I talked about. All right. So another aspect is the immune system. Okay. But before I even talk about the immune system, let me come to the musculoskeletal system. Before you can fight or run away, the body needs to cause the muscles to be active. So there is muscle tension. But if the muscle tension lasts for a very long time, so let's say an acute stress, you've seen a lion, the body instigates the SAM, that is the sympathetic adrenal medulla system, all right, to react for you to run away or to fight and kill the lion. And after that, the parasympathetic nervous system, as we spoke last week, is supposed to bring the body to the normal state, okay, not being under pressure of doing anything. And as the body gets to that state, that means that the body has come back to normal. But imagine after running away from this lion, your body is still on the high alert. Okay. So when it happens like that, that means the muscle tension will remain constant, and it will cause headache, like tension headache. It can even lead to migraine. So it can lead to body aches and all that. So stress can do a lot to the body. That's why you don't want to undergo chronic stress, because after the acute stress, your body comes back to normal. But if the acute stress persists for a very long time, something like episodic acute stress, more time you're experiencing it intermittently, it can lead to some of these things we are talking about. And if it becomes chronic, all right, if it goes beyond the acute episodic to chronic, whereby the HPA system comes in. So I told you that the HPA system is the one that lasts for a very long time. So that one is more of a slow something. So it's comes in when the body is undergoing chronic stress, like financial difficulties, abusive marriages, and all that. So, with that one, the HPA system is the one that is activated. But I made you to understand that even with the acute stress, it can also become chronic when it lasts for a very long time. You understand? Or when the acute episodic stress keeps on happening, like acute stress keeps on happening intermittently. We call it acute episodic stress. So there are times that after the SAM, that is the sympathetic adrenal medulla system, has performed its activity, the adrenaline secreted is small. So it takes the HPS axis takes over because the stress is lasting for a very long time. So in other words, I'm trying to say that the HPA system comes in when the stress is there for a very long time. That's what I want you to understand. But when it comes in, that is when we have something we call, you know, cortisol. Okay, so we have corticotropin releasing hormone. All right, so the corticotropin releasing hormone will stimulate the pituitary gland to release the corticotropic hormone. All right, so the corticotropic releasing hormone will stimulate the pituitary gland to release the tropic hormone. So when it happens like that, these hormones too will stimulate the adrenal glands to release cortisol. So cortisol is popularly known as a stress hormone because it is usually for chronic stress that lasts for a very long time. So in that case, when the cortisol comes in, this cortisol hormone can also cause changes in the body metabolism. All right. So cortisol can even cause changes in lipid metabolism, leading to dyslipidemia or hyperlipidemia. And when there is hyperlipidemia, the that means that there is, changes in your cholesterol level. So the cholesterol, we have good cholesterol, which is the HDL, okay, high density lipoprotein, and we have the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL, low density lipoprotein. So when the low density lipoprotein increases, it can lead to atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis means that the lipid or the fat deposits blocking blood vessels, preventing enough blood to the other side of the body. So when it happens like that, that can induce high blood pressure because the heart has to pump blood under pressure to break those barriers. All right. and it can also lead to stroke. Okay, yes, it can lead to stroke, more of acute. I said acute. You know, we have hemorrhagic stroke and ischemic. So more of ischemic stroke. All right. All right. Thank you so much. And you know, we've spoken about the musculoskeletal aspect. We've spoken about the cardiovascular aspect, where you've known about the high blood pressure, the atherosclerosis, and all that, dyslipidemia, and all that. We've spoken about the respiratory system. Now let's come to the immune system. So, immune system is supposed to help the body to fight against infection. All right. It's supposed to help the body to fight against any foreign objects that will land into the body. So the immune system is able to secrete what we call pro-inflammatory proteins like cytokines. All right. So cytokines are able to produce, cause inflammation so that the infection will be abated or will be dealt with. All right. And the body also stimulates some immune hormones, all right, or immune soldiers like lymphocytes. So when there is chronic stress, the cortisol can affect the immune system in a way that the pro-inflammatory hormones like the cytokines that needs to cause inflammation to abate infection will not be there or will not be enough. The secretion will be impaired, all right, and also prevent other secretions like lymphocytes to perform their functions. You know, lymphocytes is a cell, sorry, but the lymphocytes have a way has they have a way of fighting the infection, so it will prevent them from undergoing their activities, by so doing altering the body's function to fight infection. And if that happens, that means that we can easily get infections, we can easily be infected. All right. Okay. And also it can even lead to autoimmune diseases. Like autoimmune diseases means that when the body's immune system is fighting its own cells, okay, when the body's immune system is fighting its own cells, that can lead to, well, that is what we call autoimmune disease. And those diseases are fatal because the soldiers that need to fight for you, the soldiers are fighting themselves. So imagine the soldiers fight themselves and they kill themselves in the body. When a foreign object comes in the body, which soldiers are going to kill those foreign objects? So that means that you die. Okay, in other words, that's it. You die. So the next thing we will talk about is reproduction. Okay, so reproductive system. So the stress hormone can have effect on the follicle stimulating hormone and also the luteinizing hormone. It can also have effect on testosterone. All right. So the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, they are the hormones that modulate the female ovulation cycle. All right. So when the stress affects those hormones, that means that um, there will be imbalances in the ovulation cycle. There will be menstrual disorders, which can lead to infertility in a way. Okay, and also can lead to testosterone, reduction and all that. And testosterone will usually help with libido and all. So if testosterone is being dealt with, then that means that you are going to be in trouble. All right. So your libido will be low, and there can even be erectile dysfunction. That's why people who undergo stress, they can't last long during sexual intercourse. They can sometimes even 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and all that. Okay. So I think we have exhausted our notes for today, and I'm going to leave you here, and I believe you are blessed with some of the effects of stress I have shared with you. You don't want to undergo this and you don't want to go through this. You want to get a better life. So, no matter how life is beating you, no matter how things are challenging, allow yourself to be comfortable. You can't change everything in this world. Do your best and leave the rest to God. That is why you have to give your life to Christ. Let me leave you here today. We shall continue next week, God willing. And next week, we are going to deal with how to resolve these effects when they come upon us. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you. Let me pray for you. Father, I thank you for your people. I bless you for today. And I ask that if anybody is undergoing through any chronic stress, any acute episodic stress that is very challenging, oh God, and that is leading them to some of these complications, I pray that you come through for them. I pray that you will deliver them and you set them free. Thank you very much, King of Kings, for hearing and answering my prayers. I pray that if any one of us is sick, let healing be that person's portion. I come against any form of sickness and I cause the sickness to leave the body. I cause growth to disappear and I cause paralysis to heal in the name of Jesus, blindness to heal and deafness and dumbness to heal as well. Thank you, for Father, for an answered prayer. In Jesus' name, I have prayed with thanksgiving. God bless you, beloved. Have a blessed day. Bye bye.